Welcome. This is a beginner's video for meditation, so it's an intro to mindful meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable seat somewhere in your private space, in your home space. You can either sit on the floor like I am in a cross-legged seat. I have a cushion beneath my bum to help me elevate through the lower spine and tilts the pelvic floor forward, so I'm sitting comfortably. If sitting cross-legged on the floor is not comfortable for you, there is no pressure to sit like this. There is no right way to sit for meditation. So if you would prefer to sit on a chair with your legs, feet flat on the floor, legs uncrossed, that's also perfectly fine. I would encourage that, particularly as you begin your meditation practice, you don't lie down. The reason being that you're one of the, in Buddhist and in fact Vedas and the yogic texts, one of the major obstacles in establishing a fruitful and regular meditation practice is sleep, it's fatigue, and it's a feeling of drowsiness when meditating. So it's quite common that people experience that when they begin meditating. And if you're lying down, the chances that you kind of drift off into sleep are quite high. So I invite you to sit and not lie down. And there's also no pressure to not have your back supported, though, if you're sitting. So sitting on a couch, as I said, sitting on a chair, just somewhere where your spine is straight, if it's supported, or free, that doesn't matter. And that your legs are either crossed like this or feet flat on the floor, not knees next to each other if it's sitting on a chair. And then once you've found that, place your hands on your knees, palms up or down. It doesn't matter, whatever feels natural to you. So there's no need or pressure to find a mudra. Generally, I meditate with my palms facing downwards on my knees. Sometimes I place my hands in the seat of the body, palm cradled in palm. It's just whatever feels best for your shoulders and arms on that day. And then I invite you to gently start to close your eyes. Just take a moment to connect with the feeling of eyelids touching eyeballs. Just become aware of the sensation of touch between eyelids and eyeballs. What is the texture of this sensation, of this feeling? Once you've become aware of this and felt the sensation therein, I invite you to move your attention from the eyeballs through into the temples and the forehead. And take a moment to release any tension here. So there's no need to strain or feel pressured. Take a moment to, as you run your attention over your temples and your forehead, to release tension. Sometimes, if I do feel tense when approaching my practice, I use visualization here to help the process of releasing tension. I imagine as though there is a cork, a nice big cork, plugged in a hole in my forehead. And on that cork is the word tension or stress or anxiety. It depends what you're feeling. Any of those emotions make meditation very difficult, and they are often our reason for turning to meditation. They are what we want to alleviate the pressure of in our lives. And so I think of this cork plugged into the hole in my forehead with the word anxiety, for example, written on the top of that cork. And I just take a moment to imagine very slowly as though that cork gets pulled out, and then from that hole rushes a whole lot of dark liquid. And all that dark liquid or vapor is my tension or stress or anxiety. And let that leave your brain, let that leave your head and drain from the face. You should feel a palpable sense of relief in imagining that process. Visualization can be very powerful, particularly as we begin and enter into a practice of meditation. And so with all of that tension draining from the brain and from the scalp and from the face, I invite you to feel that the jaw is slackened now and soft, the skin over the cheeks relaxed, the lips and the mouth soft and relaxed. Take a moment to just roll your shoulders backwards slightly and to lengthen through the spine without straining. So imagine as though you have draped your shoulders over a hanger. And so the structure of the hanger is supporting you in your upright position, but you are free to relax within this structure. Let the shoulders roll back and down and be soft and free. And I invite you now to draw your attention to your breath, observing your breath without forcing it. So the key aspect of your meditation practice will be just this. The entry point in your meditation practice and your touch point throughout the practice, should you feel the mind wandering, is this exact thing. Observing the unforced rhythm of the breath. So observing your monotonous inhalation and exhalation as it falls, your breath as it is. Seeking not to try and alter or change the breath, seeking not to force relaxation. Imagine as though you could watch the flow of your automated breath from a distance. Observing your breath from a slight distance, from a vantage point. Looking back on your body, looking back from a slight distance on your breath. And we want to observe the breath with an alertness, a curiosity for all the minute details, and a non-judgmental acceptance of all that arises. So meditation is not at all about creating or forcing some particular end, some particular disposition or experience. It is rather about observing the mind, the breath, and thus reality as it is in this moment. And having the courage to see it openly and fully, to keep one's attention on it, and to not seek to change it. So sometimes when we enter into our practice, the mind is very calm. Sometimes we enter straight into a space of reflection, a sense of harmony. That is not always the case. Sometimes the mind is scattered. It's known as the monkey mind, jumping from one thought to the next. Sometimes we feel agitated or frustrated or angry or upset. This is part of life and reality and the way the human brain and emotions and reactions work. And so the goal of your meditation is to remain calm, to remain alert and observant, regardless of these passing changes. Like to imagine as you focus on your breath here, each inhalation and exhalation is observing the rhythm of the breath and perhaps feeling the touch of atmosphere over the nostrils, the flow of inhalation and exhalation through the nostrils. And to tune into all the details of this moment, this passing moment, and the sensations of the breath. So, should the mind start to wander, it is sometimes useful to imagine as though the thoughts in the mind are passing cars on a highway. So you are seated on a bench on the side of the highway. and the thoughts stream past like cars. The aim of meditation is to remain seated on the side of the highway and to watch the cars from a slight distance, aware of the rhythm of the breath, aware of the sensations of this moment. But sometimes it is inevitable that we allow ourselves to, sometimes without even realizing, usually without realizing, to jump into one of these cars and run along with it, to speed along with the thoughts, to be taken up by the jumping connections and contingencies between memory and projection and worry, deliberation and consideration. And when you catch yourself in the car running along with the train of thought, the goal of your meditation is to just be aware, to not get angry, to not get frustrated, and then to quietly, smilingly jump out of the car and return to the sidewalk, return to the bench on the side of the highway. In that moment when you catch the mind wandering, and smilingly, without getting frustrated, without giving up, returning the attention to focus on the breath in the present moment. That moment when you are able to do that is really a huge gain. It is an enormous gain on your path in mindful meditation. It is the heart of a fruitful and sustainable meditation practice. In spite of the fluctuations of thoughts, emotions, conditions of the mind, we smilingly, steadfastly, consistently return the mind to the breath. We choose to smile, to not engage with the frustrations and the patterns of self-blame, and instead, smilingly, return the attention to the automated, essential rhythm of the breath. Observing your breath is an incredible, powerful tool in calming your mind and achieving focus and harmony in your life. There is no change in the emotion or mental state that is not simultaneously reflected in the fluttering change of the breath. Observation of breath is observation of mind. In the moment you are able, and in the times you are able, to observe the breath, to not be taken up by the thoughts, to observe the thoughts from a distance, to feel that there is a gap between the thoughts and the thinker, the observer. It is a moment where you are no longer overpowered or overwhelmed by your emotions and moods and thoughts. That is a moment where you take power back. And one takes power over their emotional and mental states not by fighting them, not by seeking to change or alter or deaden or distract, but by being fully alert, fully observant, curious, and yet accepting, non-judgmental observation. This is the key to a fruitful meditation practice. And you can return to this state of observation of breath whenever you need to. It does not have to be a formal meditation practice like we are enjoying together here. You can do this at any time of the day, just seeking a quiet corner or a moment, even in a busy space, even with your eyes open. You can turn the mind to focus on the breath. And let this be the beginning of and the seed of the growth of your meditation practice. And I invite you to now take in 2 full breaths, breathing fully into the belly, filling the lungs. Exhaling. Nice, deep, full lung inhalation. And exhale. You're ready to open your eyes once again. Thank you for joining me through this meditation practice. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your feedback and connect with you again. Namaste.